So we've continued our practice of solving equations, but today we added in what are called literal equations. And just remember that literal equations are equations that have more than one variable. Okay, so literal equations just have more than one variable, but our process still works the same, that we're going to be solving for whatever variable it is. And so your instructions on your homework were to solve all the problems for y. That means that we want y's on one side, everything else on the other. I'm going to go ahead and label my sides. I know we don't usually do that yet, but I want to go ahead and label them just so we recall that's what we're doing, is we want to get y's on one side and everything else on the other. So I need to look to see if I can simplify anything. So if I look at the left side, I have a term with x and a term with y. I cannot put those together. And on the right side, I just have 14. So there's nothing I can do to either side, which means I need to start moving stuff around. Well, if I just need y's on the left side, that means that I need to get rid of this 3x because it doesn't have a y with it. Remember that 3x is a positive 3x on the left side. So when I move it to the right side, it is going to become a minus 3x. And so it is gone. My problem now says negative 7y equals 14 minus 3x. To get y completely alone, I have this negative 7 here, and I can't have that anymore. It's negative 7, and that negative 7 is multiplied by y. So to get rid of something that's multiplied, I divide. Remember, when we divide everything. So this negative 7 is gone, and I'm left with y equals, I can reduce this. I can simplify 14 divided by negative 7, which is negative 2. And I can simplify negative 3 over negative 7 to an extent. I can make it positive because a negative divided by a negative is a positive 3 over 7. And this still has x with it. There's nothing else I can do because this negative 2 does not have an x, and this 3 over 7 does have an x. I cannot put these two together. They must stay separate. So I have 2 parentheses, or 2 multiplied by x minus 3y equals 12. So I'm going to draw my line on the equal sign. I need to simplify my side, so I'm going to distribute. 2 multiplied by x is 2x. 2 multiplied by negative 3y is negative 6y equals 12. So I'm going to label my sides. Remember, I'm solving these for y. That means I want y's on one side and everything else on the other. That means everything that doesn't have a y with it. Well, again, if I look, I can't combine anything together. There's nothing to combine because everything on the left side, they're different. This has x, this has y, and on the right side, it's just the 12. So I can start moving things. Well, this 2x can be moved because this 2x is on the wrong side. Remember my left side over here? This is my y side. 2x doesn't have a y with it. It's a positive 2x. So when I move it to the right, it's going to become a negative 2x, and then it's gone. I'm going to go ahead and leave this problem written the way that it is right now, just on a single line, because I just think it looks a lot better to just move forward from here rather than rewriting. So my final step, I need to get y completely alone. Well, currently, we have this negative 6 that's in front of y. That means negative 6 is multiplied by y. So to get rid of that negative 6, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So I am left with y equals 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. And then a negative 2 over a negative 6 is going to become positive. And I can reduce this negative 2 over negative 6. I can reduce that 2 over 6 is actually going to become 1/3. The reason I can do that is because I can divide 2 by 2, and I can divide 6 by 2 as well. And that's where the 1 and the 3 come from. I have my next problem, y minus 4 equals negative 5 times x plus 1. So I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign. If I look at the left side here, I have a y and a minus 4. I can't do anything to those. They're not like terms. On the right side, notice I have parentheses, so I need to distribute. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. I'm going to leave y minus 4 alone. On the right side, I need to distribute. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times a positive 1 is a negative 5. So if I look at the right side, I still cannot do anything. There's nothing else I can do over to the right side because negative 5x has a variable. Negative 5 does not have a variable. I cannot put these two together. So I'm going to label my sides. Remember, I'm solving for y. So y is on one side and everything else on the other. So if I want y is on one side, everything else on the other, that means this minus 4 is in the wrong place because the minus 4 doesn't have a y with it, and it's on the y side, so I need to move it. So if it's minus 4 on the left, it's going to become a plus 4 on the right. There's nothing from the right side that I need to move because the only thing that should be on the left should have y. Negative 5x doesn't have y, negative 5 doesn't have y, and 4 doesn't have y. So now I'm going to combine stuff together. I can combine my negative 5 and my positive 4. So I'm going to bring down my y equals, my negative 5x is still going to be there. And negative 5 plus 4 is going to combine to give me negative 1. So this is my final answer. And lastly, I have 3x minus 4y equals 2y plus 6. So I'm going to draw my line. I need to see if I can simplify either side. Well, the left side has an x term with an x and a term with a y. Can't combine those. The right side has a term with a y and a letter. A variable, a constant. So no variable. Cannot combine those either. So I need to I'm going to label my sides and I can start moving around. I'm solving for y, so y is on one side and everything else on the other side. So I need to start moving things that are in the wrong place. Well, one thing that's in the wrong place is this 3x. It's a positive 3x on the left, so on the right it's going to be a negative 3x. So that's gone. And then I had to move that because it was on the y side. I'm also going to have to move this 2y because it has a y with it, and it's on the everything else side, not on the y side. So if it's a positive 2y on the right, it's going to be a negative 2y on the left. Remember, it's positive on the right, so it's negative on the left. And then it's gone. So if I rewrite this, I have negative 4y minus 2y equals 6 minus 3x. So I can combine stuff together. I can combine now. I have a negative 4y and a negative 2y, which together is negative 6y, equals 6 minus 3x. I cannot combine 6 and negative 3x together because 6 doesn't have an x and negative 3x does. So my final step is to get y completely alone, which means I need to remove, I need to isolate the variable. I need to get rid of that negative 6. So negative 6, remember, is multiplied by y. The opposite of multiplying is to divide, and when I divide everything. So the negative 6 is on the left, cancel out, and I'm left with y equals. 6 divided by negative 6 is negative 1. Remember your division rules, you're not subtracting, you are dividing. And a negative 3 over a negative 6, well, a negative and a negative is going to give us a positive, and 3 over 6 I can reduce to 1/2. So my final answer is negative 1 plus 1/2 x.